Hello, people of the internet. My name is JD Shadow, and of course, we're going to be talking about GTA 6 and some new information that has came out. Now, before I go any further, let me reiterate something that I think a lot of people who are hearing this news and have some issues with some of the stuff that's come out. Let me reiterate: female protagonists in a GTA game is not the issue here. And let's be quite honest, no one has said it was. I don't know who they're saying made it an issue. I'm pretty sure some no-name person on the internet has said that, but no one that is significant, no one that is relevant, no one that has any inkling on Twitter has ever said that. So let's get that lie out of the way right now, because there's going to be something I bring up on this video that will make you think that they found something. And when you see it, you'll know that they are lying through their teeth. And if you know me, if you watch this channel long enough, if you know who I talk about at length long enough, you'll know a particular website that made it about that. That they're the ones who are complaining about it, because they're the ones that are trying to say that people are complaining about it. Because guess who decided they're going to slobber all over the latest news regarding GTA 6? It was ResetEra. And I need to bring it up because I need to bring up a particular problem we're having, in that if we're going to get game companies to stop listening to ResetEra, we have to start calling them out by name. But first of all, let's get to what this is all about, because I'm pretty sure, in case you're crawling up from under a rock, you probably have heard the bigger news of the day regarding this. Details of this come from Bloomberg, and by the way, before I go any further, guess who wrote the Bloomberg article? That scumbag Jason Schreier, and you all know how I feel about him. I just told you how I felt about him. This is the same guy who sat on the Activision Blizzard thing for months and months before he felt as though it was time for him to come forward with it, because it benefited him more so than the people that he was supposed to be protecting. And get this, Stephanie Sterling will not call him out, because they're buddies, and apparently you can't call out your friends if you're working in the games industry together. Apparently that's the thing. So I'll try my best to not go to that site. I will try my best to not reference that site, but unfortunately they're the ones that broke the story. Don't go to Jason Schreier either. There are other people who are better than he is. Anyway, I'm gonna go to someplace another YouTuber, of course, as Rich of You Tech USA said, and I agree with what he said, but there is one thing I need to say about him, about this video, and it has to do with what I said earlier. This is saying Rockstar Games has overhauled its workplace culture, which is a good thing. GTA 6 will also feature a playable female protagonist for the first time. She's Latina, that is one of a pair of leading characters influenced by the Bonnie and Clyde duo. And I've advocated for this since GTA 5. I felt as though they should have a female protagonist in GTA 5. I don't see a thing wrong with it, and I don't think anybody else does either. I don't think people who are actually commenting about this have a problem with this. So if you do, then congratulations, you're not a mess. But here's the thing, I don't think my audience is, I don't think anybody who's commenting on this is objecting to that, or that she's Latina. So I don't know who is being referenced in some of these posts, and I want to say that if you see some of those posts, make sure you list your references, cite the sources, cite who's saying it, because I have a feeling there are some people who are outright lying here and saying that they have seen them. And we'll get to that in just a second. But the details go on. Here's some more. Working title Project Americas. I have no clue what that has to do with anything. Main location is official version of Miami plus its surrounding areas. Basically, we're going back to Vice City. Anybody who doesn't think that's Vice City might want to not put any money on that. Game will evolve over time, adding new cities. That's a kind of concern, because that has a subscription model idealism behind it. So yeah, that's a little troublesome. We'll get into that. The game world is already large, more interior locations than previous GTA games, which is a very good thing. The one thing that's gonna confuse a lot of people is the Project Americas, and the one thing that's going to concern a lot of people is that evolve over time thing, because again, We're talking about microtransactions, subscription model. What's that mean, Rockstar? We gotta have some more info about that. And you might want to talk about that pretty soon, because that's going to concern a lot of people. Now, here's where things get a little bit dicey and what people are really concerned about here. And we're not talking about the things they've been trying to clean up with the crunch and the abusive behavior. We've talked a lot about how a lot of gamers were on Activision Blizzard about that whole thing, and apparently we're not getting the credit that we surely deserve about that. We're still not getting the credit that we deserve about that, but again, that's probably because the people who called them out, or the people like Jim Sterling, are not allowed to say they agreed with, because that would mean that they also agree with people who are calling out woke culture or cancel culture. And this is where we get to the Bloomberg article. This comes directly from the Bloomberg article, because the person that was on Twitter did not list this part. This is what they list, and again, this is coming from he who shall not be named. So take it for what it's worth. And this is a long article, but I will read you the important part. Rockstar's next game, GTA 6, will include a playable female protagonist for the first time, according to people familiar with game. The woman, who is Latina, will be one of a pair of leading characters in a story influenced by the bank robbers Bonnie and Clyde, the people said. Again, no problem with that. And if you see anybody try to say that you do, call them out and say, hey, I never said that, and I want you to point me to the place where you thought I did, or that somebody else did. Call them out. Call their bluff. Here's though where it gets a little bit dicey. Developers are also being cautious not to quote-unquote punch down by making jokes about marginalized groups that people said, in contrast to previous games. And again, this comes from Schreier, so we don't really know if he's being truthful to that. However, that's where people are getting concerned. Not because we think people should be bullied or anything like that. No one's saying that either. However, as other people online have said, GTA has always been a game that satiricalizes culture that we live in. Yes, they did say something like this. According to the article, they said several Rockstar employees pointed out that you can't really satirize today's America. It's already a satire of itself. Why is Rockstar talking to Jason Schreier? Talk to people who will point out truth and will give quotes that you say, not somebody who will make up things that you said and will sit on things for months and months until he sees it as beneficial for his own health and well-being to release the information. But GTA has always been satirical in nature. It was a form of comedy, and in the world of comedy, you have to be extremely willing to take some punches, to know that it's not going to be politically correct. And that's the crossroads we're on right now, is how do you be culturally sensitive while still being able to take a few jokes, to take a few punches, to have a little bit of comedy at your expense? Because sometimes comedy will also make you see that maybe you're worrying way too much about something. That maybe people who you think would be offended of a joke like that are actually not offended, and they're laughing and they're having a good time. And they know to not have their guard always up, to have their guard down sometimes. And I'm not saying that can't go too far or can't go to a point where it's a point of no return where it just becomes mean-spirited, but at the same time, there's a huge difference between somebody like Andrew Dice Clay, who did that for a living, who took it way too far, and Andy Dick, who took it way too far, and somebody like Dave Chappelle, someone like Joe Rogan, who knows better than to not cross that line. George Carlin was one of the best in the business, and he did cross the line, and he was good at doing it. Again, even if you do cross the line, there's a way you do it and still have people know that you're doing it to make a point. You're doing it to make a comedic point. And GTA was an equal opportunity offender. They made fun of everybody. It didn't matter who you were. If you were a person living in the world, you were a target, and you played the game knowing that the satire is going to be there. The bastardization of who we are is going to be put on grand display. So yes, that's the main concern here, that they're going to go to PC, too shielded, and be way too scared of a certain group of people. Here's where we get into what I saw, because I saw the quartering say that it was this one quote. Review Tech USA said this was this one quote. Melanie Max saying this is one quote. I didn't hear anything from Clownfish or anything like that yet. Everybody I've seen so far has said they had no problem with a female protagonist. They welcomed it. Review Tech USA said something about he would like to see a Castlevania character come back, and while I agree Castlevania has great female protagonists, I would rather see someone like Sylphia or maybe Maria Reinhardt come back, because I think they are more well known in the Castlevania universe. Maria Reinhardt, of course, appeared in Rondo of Blood, and of course in Symphony of the Night, and Sylphia in Castlevania 3. There are people who still think Sylphia is a male, a female, but there's one thing that no one that had made a video about this is saying, and that is that when this came out, when this news story came out, guess who slobbered all over it and tried to lie to you? That tried to have a whole bunch of people who are using their site and all have this echo chamber mind that you can't dare to get a different perspective on, because the moderators and administrators are purging anybody who dares to think any different or dares to bring up the woke ideology that they believe is going to be going on in the game and misrepresenting what they're actually talking about. Guess who is doing that? I bet you any amount of money that it was ResetEra that wanted this change, that wanted this particular change. Why? Because they went all in on it. If you look on their site and on this thread, you will see all the different posts about this and how people responded to others that were trying to say something about the culture that it was going to have. And I'm going to display to you some of these comments, because I don't think I can read all of them ad verbatim without the fear of getting demonetized from YouTube. But if you want to read all of them, please go hit the pause button on the YouTube player and go and look some of these that I've captured, or better yet, go onto the ResetEra site itself if you can stomach it, and actually go read some of these and some of the bans that came in. Yes, some people were banned, and guess why? And you'll no doubt also see one particular common thread. They keep saying that, oh, Twitter is going ballistic because there's a female protagonist, and some of the people who are anti-woke are going to go absolutely ballistic or what have you. They keep saying and mischaracterizing the argument is. But here's one particular aspect about that ResetEra thread. Not one person, not one of them, ever cited a particular tweet that mentioned that they had a problem with a female protagonist in a GTA game. They can't cite a single person that had complained that a Latina would be the main character. They had no citation for any of it. They didn't even show the Bloomberg article in which stated this particular thing. And when somebody was complaining about somebody saying that the GTA 6 game was going to be quote-unquote woke, they were actually mentioning that it was going to have a female protagonist. Yet, they can't cite a single person in any of their threads, in any of their posts, that would actually prove that was the case. Yet, I want to show you a few particular posts. This one was by the guy himself. Apparently, we now know why he is the way he is, because he gets all his information from this joke of a site. Two people deserve one another. Another one was from this person. Apparently, they were verified and they are visiting the site as a journalist. Why are you going to ResetEra? Please tell me why you are giving these people the time of day. They don't care about you. And here's where I have to specify something, and I know I'm going to get heat from this, assuming people watch this. If we're going to tell any game company that when we talk about wanting more diversity, this is not what we're talking about. And if we're going to defeat this particular very extreme, very fringe, pearl-clutching way of handling these types of issues, I know people are going to say, but we have to start calling this out by name. We have to start calling out ResetEra by name. And I understand. I do understand that sometimes the way that you defeat it, sometimes, according to some people, is to not address it, to not give ResetEra the attention it wants. Like, some people don't want to give the Young Turks the attention they want. They keep calling out Joe Rogan again and again and again. He never responds. He never even lets the words Young Turks exit his mouth. But they're going to keep doing it. The reason because they got enough people who are going to parrot what they say without them saying it was ResetEra who they got it from, who they are being influenced by, that they are going to have the attention anyway. That there are too many people who are being propagandized by them, who are getting influenced by them. There are too many of them for us to ignore that they have some form of pull here. They have too much of a pull for type of things that they are being accused of. And they're being accused of so many things. So I do understand that while, yes, we don't want to give them the attention, sunlight is also the best disinfectant here. We got to start calling out people who go to ResetEra and are getting that verified tag. We got to start talking to them. You have to start telling them, hey, why are you going here? Why are you giving them the time of day? They're outright lying to you about what we said. They're outright lying to you about what we're saying about GTA 6. They're outright lying to you about what they have a problem with. There are at least 3 YouTubers, now 4, because now I'm included, that are saying they have no problem with a female protagonist in the GTA game. Yet these jokers, these absolute scumbags on ResetEra are telling you flat out without any bit of opposition, because if they do get opposition, not only do they get dogpiled by these sycophants, but then the moderators and administrators ban them with whatever rule they came up with that day. And then the moderators and administrators just let the other people decide to run wild on them, dogpile them, do whatever they want to do. That is absolutely ridiculous. And we just let it happen. We let it happen. We don't call it out because we think the best way to do this is to not give them the attention. But you know what? There's too many people who are going to this site before they go in any place else. They don't see that they've purged everybody with a different perspective, even if it's on the same side. You could have no problem with the female protagonists, have some problem with the other stuff that they said they were wanting to do, and get banned anyway because they are outright lying to you. They are trying to manipulate you, and we can't let that happen. Like I said, at least 3 different YouTubers have said to the contrary, and these people can't be bothered to bring that up. That no one on the Twitter sphere that has any sort of relevance, any sort of importance, has ever said, not once, that Rockstar should not have a female protagonist in a GTA game. Not one who has any sort of importance whatsoever. Yet, these people who get the verified checkmark on ResetEra are going to the site and seeing, oh, well, some people on Twitter were saying this, and they will believe them without doing their own research, without fact-checking any of this. And now we have Jason Schreier going on ResetEra and doing whatever they want them to do, and they do whatever he wants them to do, apparently. You see what's happening here? As George Carlin said, this is a big club and you're apparently not in it. ResetEra has a big club going on. They are a part of the establishment. They are part of this regime that's going on. And if we don't call this out, if we don't say something about it, they're going to keep doing this. They have been smearing every single YouTuber who dares to say something against this wave of neo-political correctness, which is not really political correctness. They have been trying to say that their brand of whatever it is the only brand, and that by us calling out how hypocritical they are actually being, that we are somehow the right wing, that we are somehow the Neanderthals or the incels or whatever. Can you really name ResetEra? Can you really name one particular place where you found this information and to show it to your readers, to your posters, to the visitors that come to your forum, to come to your site? Can you name just one of them? And by that, I don't mean some low blow person posting from someone's basement who is just a nobody on Twitter. For all we know, that's one of you guys trying to use a burner / stock account in order to post those so you can have your narrative, so you can quote unquote prove that you have your narrative. That's not being honest. That's why I'm saying someone significant that has some sort of relevance, some sort of meaning on Twitter, or someone who people will actually listen to on Twitter or on YouTube or somewhere in between. And can you really stand to let another person have another point of view without freaking out and banning them outright for whatever reason? I don't think you can do that because, one, you are part of this establishment, and two, you are controlling the narrative. And you have become the most toxic people in the gaming industry. And we have failed to call you out on that. We have failed to say that you have been wrong in doing this, and to smear us, and to have not even 1 ounce of guts to come to us when you hear something from them saying, oh, well, they said this and that, and they said, oh, the GTA 6 is going to be well because it has a female lead character. Why didn't any of those people who have an account on ResetEra post in ResetEra and heard that ask anybody? Why did they not ask Jeremy? Why did they not ask Rich or Melanie or me or Clownfish or anybody else who they think is right wing just because they go against those people who believe that all you have to do is change your logo to a Technicolor theme for a month means you're for diversity? That you are triggered whenever we use these terms, because they damn well fit right now. Because ResetEra are too much of cowards to even take the time to search out and to quote what someone had said and to point somebody to the tweet which somebody had said something. That's why I say someone relevant, someone that we hear on a daily basis, not just some Joe Blow who is tweeting out of a basement and on Twitter. That is not a relevant tweet. That is you trying your best in order to find somebody to prove that whatever you think is going on the internet is actually happening. You know who you found out of the Cammy White situation that said, oh, we're wanting to just get our jollies off the Cammy White's OG outfit? 2 people. And they didn't even say it the way you thought they said it. So that shows you just how much research you actually do. But we really need to start calling you out. We really need to start calling you out. Name one thing that I have said on any of these videos that you could consider racist or homophobic or transphobic or anything. Name one thing that Rich has even said, and yes, I get on him a lot, that he has said that it's been transphobic, homophobic, or whatever. What about Jeremy? What about Clownfish? What about Melanie? Anybody in between there? Anybody who I am forgetting here? And as long as people keep going to your site and never think for 1 second to ask any of us if we even said any of the stuff that ResetEra is claiming to have said, or that Jim Sterling is claiming to have said. And maybe we can add Alana Pierce to it, because she has now decided she's going to either buy into this lie that anybody significant on Twitter even said anything to the effect of they didn't like having a female lead in GTA 6, or thought some low blow schmuck on Twitter who is insignificant in any single way equals something that the Quartering or Review Tech or me or Clownfish or Melanie has said, or contributing to the big lie willingly, and thus is within this big circle that wants to distract and to divide gamers. If any of you guys or anybody in the mainstream media refuses to ask any of us if we ever said any of that stuff, then we're not the gamers TM. You guys are. Because it's you that are thinking this stuff, that's thinking we're saying this stuff. So who's really saying it? Who's really having a problem with GTA 6 having a female lead? It's not any of us. It's you guys. Because you're the ones who are hiding behind it in order to smear people that really didn't say a damn thing about it. Stop smearing us, and maybe, just maybe, you might get a little bit more respect out of us. And to all of us, we got to start calling you out. I'm starting to call you out. There were nobody on YouTube who had said anything about having a problem with GTA 6 having a female lead. No one said that. No one said anything about her race. No one said anything negative about that. You're the only ones that are doing it because you're the only ones that are seeing something that didn't happen. My name is JD Shadow, and that just happened.